I'm sure most everyone's heard of a living will, but do you know what it is and what the benefits are of having one? Today I'm going to explain exactly what a living will is and why I think it's important that everyone should have one. A living will, also known as an advance health care directive, is a legal document that informs your health care providers and your family about your desires and preferences for medical treatment in the event that you are unable to communicate due to an illness or unconsciousness. Living wills cover such subjects as artificial life support, resuscitation, organ donation, tube feedings, and other topics. According to Dr. Oz, and I quote, researchers have found that people with living wills receive better treatment to keep them comfortable and pain-free as they neared the end of their lives compared to patients without living wills. They were also more likely to die in their own homes instead of a hospital, in case that appeals to you. In my extensive research, I came across Ken Black, the owner of 247legal.com, and he pretty much summed up what I feel are the benefits of having a living will. First of all, a living will gives you the right to refuse treatments that you don't want, such as artificial resuscitation and feeding tubes. Another benefit of having a living will is that you know the outcome. You never know what kind of accident or illness could hit you. With a living will, you know what kind of medical treatment that you're going to receive. Another big benefit of a living will is that it prevents arguments among family members. No doubt you have family that cares for you, but they all have different ideas as far as what the best treatment for you is. The last thing you want is your family arguing about your health care treatments. Another benefit, it makes decisions easier for your family. Making a decision about a dying or ill loved one can be very hard for a family, and there's lots of pressure involved in making such decisions. And having a living will prevent your family from having to face that. Another benefit of having a living will, it ensures that the doctors will follow your wishes. Healthcare professionals are legally bound to carry out the instructions in a living will. This will ensure that your wishes are carried out instead of a doctor just treating you the way they feel best. And another benefit of having a living will is to eliminate financial burden on your family. Often people who end up with permanent illnesses end up needing long-term care, which can be very expensive. Some people prefer not to leave this type of burden to their family. You can choose an option that will eliminate the financial burden, and you will not have to worry about your family searching for financial resources to pay for your treatment and care. Living wills are not just for the sick or elderly. They are important for everyone. Anyone can end up dealing with an accident or illness. Are you still not convinced that you need a living will? I'd like to share a personal story. 4 years ago, my husband Ronnie was in the hospital. He suffered 3 perforations in his colon and needed a basically routine surgery. The night before his surgery, something went wrong and he went into septic shock. And he coded for 22 minutes before they finally resuscitated him. From then on, he was in a coma, on a ventilator. He had a trach, a feeding tube, and the swelling was so severe in his brain that it would take several weeks for the swelling to go down so that tests could be run to know exactly how much brain damage had occurred. Over the next several weeks, he had 8 surgeries, had dialysis, and remained on life support. When they were finally ready to run the test, they found there was very little brain activity and blood flow to his brain, and he was still bleeding internally. I had a decision to make, a horrible decision to make. I had to make the decision to take him off life support and let him go. Also, desperately trying to keep him, I ran up a hospital bill of over $269,000. I remember Ronnie and I briefly talking about if something ever happened, that he didn't want to be on life support and live that way. But you know, you don't think of, that never crossed my mind at the time when this all took place. All I could think about was saving him. He had no living will, so I had to make the decisions, including the hardest one of my life. I personally cannot express how important it is to have a living will. From making sure your wishes are carried out, to making things easier on your family. The benefits of having a living will are immeasurable. I speak from experience when I urge everyone to get a living will and protect your loved ones from having to make the decision that they have to live with for the rest of their lives.